you want? The laheve reish mitivasa. Again, third person is used here for politeness, right? Is it pleasing to your honor? That, of course, the Americans would say for you to be, right? Is it pleasing for you that you should be the Rosh Hashiva? And again, in the third person for purpose of cover. Is it pleasing to you that, is it pleasing to him that he should be? Lehave means that he should be. The verb haya in Aramaic is usually hevav yud, and is it pleasing to him that he should be the Rosh Hashiva? Again, the yellow are the future. And here it's an ordinary future. It's not let him be. It's pleasing to him that he should be, that he be the Rosh Hashiva. Reish Metivta is like Rosh Hashiva, because Metivta is from the root Yud Vet Tav. It's like Yeshiva, Yud Shid Vet. I think something different. But anyway, okay, we'll leave it alone there because on my feet I can't think fast enough. Amr Lahu, they said to him, so, I'm sorry, he said to them, so Rav Yehoshua, I'm sorry, Rav Lezer ben Azariah, the candidate, right? Rav Lezer ben Azariah, the candidate, answered the Talmidei Chachamim in the Yeshiva, answered the Chevra. Amr Lo, he said to them, what will I do? Ezil v'yemelich, he said, Ezil v'yemelich v'yamshei beiti. I will go and I will consult. And Shei Beiti really means with my wife. It's idiomatically, it's the people of my house, but it means my wife. I will go, and I will consult with my wife. Again, or better yet, let me go. Right? Let me go, Ezil, Aleph Zayin Lamed, to go. You may have come across that in the Gemara. Ezil, v'yemlich, let me go and consult. Mem Lamed Chav, nothing to do with being a king. But Mem Lamed Chav in later Hebrew and Aramaic, Nimlach in Hebrew today means to think, to decide, to reconsider. So I will go and I will consult with my wife. So these are really futures, or cohortative, if you like the word. Okay? Let me go and consult with my wife. Azal, past tense, he went. V'yemelich b'devitu. He went and he consulted with his wife. Now, of course, why does it say Ve'en Shei Beitei here? Why does it say Devitu? It means the same thing. In the manuscripts, there are different versions, and some of them have the same thing there. Don't let that bug you. But En Shei Beitei and Devitu mean the same thing. Devitu again means that of my house, which of course we know where a woman should be, at the home, and he went, and this is past tense, they're the same words, the same root, but here it was a cohortative future. Let me go and let me consult, and here it means he went and he consulted with his wife.
Isn't there even more pronounced than consulting? It's English, right? Which means it's one of the causative. It's basically an equal, isn't it?
It's an equal.
So actually, if you want to catch that nuance, he's saying, "Let me go and be consulted by my." In other words, just given the fact that I think it's even more intense when you were making that point of him wanting to consult, giving it to each, sort of.
I'm not sure because I think the nimlach, the nifal in Hebrew is used the same way, and there may be a point in what you say, but I think it's speculative. Could be, I'm not sure, but nimlach in Hebrew today regularly means to consult, and Itbil in Aramaic, which I don't want to get into, has the same meaning. But you may have a point. We can discuss it later. Amarale, she said to him, Dilma ma brinla. So she was a wise wife, and she protected her husband, and she said, 1 second, if they appoint you to be the head of the Sanhedrin, perhaps they will depose you. Again, you notice again the present tense, which is really future. Perhaps they will depose you. Just like they kicked out Rabban Gamliel, they'll get rid of you. So what do you want it for? What do you need it for? So Rav Elazar ben Azariah answered, Lishtamash inish yom achada. Let a person, like lishtamesh, like in Hebrew, yishtamesh. Let a person use. Let a person make use. Inish a person. Let a person make use. Yom achada, for 1 day. Go on. Bekasa the mokra, with an expensive car, right? With an expensive laptop. It's better for a person to, this of course is a metaphor, it's better for a person, it's good for a person to use an expensive cup even for 1 day, ulamacha litaba, and tomorrow it may be broken. In other words, while I can do it, I can, so in other words, Rabbi Elizabeth answered his wife, you have a point. It's possible that they'll depose me one of these days, but as long as I can do it, I'll do it, and it's worthwhile being the Nasi of the Sanhedrin, even for a short time, even to be a temporary part of a Memshalas Vanid, part of a temporary government. It's worth doing it, even temporarily. It's better to use an expensive cup, even for a short time. And tomorrow it'll be broken. Okay, but as long as I can do it, it's a good thing to do. So with all due respect to your good advice, and there is a point to it, but nevertheless, I decide, every husband is not mechuyev every day to accept everything his wife says. So even though his wife certainly had a good point, nevertheless he said, it's better, I'll take my chances. I'll take my chances. I'll serve as the head of the Sanhedrin for as long as I can, and then if I get kicked out, I get kicked out. It's worth it. Lidvar again is again a future, and it's really an itpil, which unfortunately I don't have time to go into, but I mean, and let it be broken. Like in Hebrew, yishaveh. Amara lay. So now she said to him, again, his wife, this is a dialogue between Rav Elazar ben Azariah and Mrs. Rav Elazar ben Azariah. So she said to him, let lach tiba rata. You do not have white hairs. Chiver in Hebrew means pale, white. You do not have white hairs. Meaning what? You don't, Rav Elazar ben Azariah was pretty young then. Of course, part of Haggadah Shel Pesach may begin to be sinking in at this point. Let lei chivrata. You don't have white hair. So then the Gemara says, Hahu, a miracle occurred. Hahu yom, but that day, bat bane sarei shenei haba. On that day, Rav Elazar ben Azariah was 18 years old. Bar is ben, Mane sarei is shmona esrei. Mane, the tough, the shin, right? Mane means 8, like shmona, sorry. So Mane sorry is 18. Then Rav Elazar ben Azariah was 18 years old. Mane sorry is name. Abba, he was. Itrachish le Nisa. A miracle happened to him. They use Litrachish, Nes, they use it here also. A nes is past tense. A nes, a miracle occurred for him. Va'ahadulei mane sarei darei chivrat. There's a textual problem here. It's probably better the readings that don't have an aleph. probably a simple kal. In other words, 18, 18 rows of white hairs appeared around his head. Hainu means this is. Hainu the Ka'ama Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. This is what Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said in the Mishnah in the Masechet Brachot, and we say the Nagada Shal Pesach. This is what Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said. In other words, said, I don't mean said, I mean meant. Right? This is what Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah meant. By the way, Amar doesn't have to mean to say. The famous example in Chumash is in Parashat Shemot, where it says, Hal hargeni ata omer. According to the simple meaning, when the Jews who were fighting with each other say to Moshe Rabbeinu, doesn't mean you say to kill me. Do you plan to kill me? That's a simple meaning. Rashi calls it midrash, that's irrelevant right now. But sometimes omer means to say, to plan, to not necessarily to verbalize. This is what Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said. Harei ani ben 70 shana, lo ben 70 shana. In the Mishnah it says, I am as if I were. In other words, we're interpreting kiven not approximately 70 years. I was as if 70 years. Right? But not really. I was like 7 years old. Like they say in Hebrew today, ki'ilu. Or like in American English they say like. I was like, but like in the slang sense of like, which bugs me. But anyway. But I'm from the 20th century, not the 21st. Harei ani ben 70 shana. Behold, I am as if 70 years old. It's as if because he was really 17. He's as 18. He was as if 70 years old, below ben 70 shana, and not really 70 years old. This ends this story. In a few minutes, I have a couple of minutes, huh? I have another minute? 1 minute, let me just talk about Ka'amar. And that'll be... I want to talk about Ka'amar because it's something that is not so widely known. Can you get me back to Ka'amar? The last frame. The word Ka'amar, the problem is what's the kuf doing here? It's obviously not part of the root. The root is Aleph and Resh. What in the world is a kuf? The following is the answer. The kuf, and it's a weird answer, I'm sorry, but it seems to be the truth. The ka'ama, the ka, sometimes, first of all, ka sometimes appears as a separate word, kuf aleph. Ka mashmalan, you probably see, right? Ka mashmalan. Sometimes it's written kuf aleph, and sometimes the kuf is a prefix to mashma. Ka mashmalan. The ka is really a shortened form of the present tense of the verb kum, believe it or not. The present tense of the verb kum is ka'aim. If you drop the mem and drop the yud, you're left with ka. That's where the ka comes from. And it is advisable not to try to translate it into English or even into Hebrew. It just strengthens and gives some oomph to the participle. It's always used before a present tense or what I call a participle. And this is what, if you wish, this is what Rabbi Elazar is really saying. Something of that sort. In other words, in practice, if you ignore the ka, you're just as well off. But that's what it's doing there. It is not part of the root. It's a prefix that strengthens the amar. You probably know kamiflagi, kamipalgi to be more accurate. Somebody asked me about that before. Technically it should be mipalgi, kamipalgi, or as Yeshiva Bachim say kamiflagi, but it means the same thing. Don't make a fetish about it. Kamiflagi, kamipalgi. The ka, what's the ka doing there? Nothing. It just strengthens it, it doesn't change the meaning, it's not part of the meaning. So the same thing with regard to kama, the ka is there to strengthen the word amar, and don't get hot and bothered about it, that's it. And it's, again, you'll see it's very frequent in the Talmud as you go along. You'll see that happens quite frequently.